Our special guest today is Jack Bloom. He is the president and founder of Alpha Capital Corporation, longtime investment banker, quite knowledgeable at the small cap space. All that and more this week on The Pitching Well. Welcome to the show. I'm TJ Walker. This is your home for all things small cap related. If you're a small cap CEO investor, this is the place for you. Our special guest today is Jack Bloom. Thanks for joining us. You are a longtime expert in the small cap space, investment banker, more than 25 years, graduate of Harvard, MIT Business School. You've worked in a lot of different spaces, venture capital, and now a lot of the middle market, small cap spaces. First of all, where do you see us in the economy right now? What's happening in the capital markets?
Sure. Well, it's great to be here, TJ. Thanks so much. It's a great opportunity to speak to you and everyone else. Right now we're in an uneven recovery. We're having trouble employing all the people who have lost jobs in real estate, automobiles, and what's happening is it's a time when new technologies, new companies, growing companies are doing well. So we have a lot of clients with new technologies and new marketing methods, new approaches to business that are exploding in growth, hiring and growing.
Who's hiring right now? Because when you look at the economic trends nationwide, I mean, it's only going up about that much each month.
I'll give you a great example. One of our clients is a lender to small business. They are 5 guys under the age of 30.
Now I'm feeling old.
And they were loan brokers, and they were selling off loans to all the big banks, which collapsed. What they did is they took their own money and they started lending to small companies themselves. Mm-hmm. And they started with only a few $100,000. Last year they did $5 million in business. They've already done $5 million in business through May. They'll do more than $10 million in business this year. They're hiring aggressively. So they're filling in for where all the banks were. Mm-hmm. I think they've combined certainly more than 100 people, and they've just taken another floor of space. Mm-hmm. So what's happening is that people with new ways of doing business, people who are entrepreneurial, who are sure of themselves, who understand their business, are going forward. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting.
Any other particular niches? You mentioned sort of, the micro banking world. Are there any other particular sectors you're excited about right now?
Of course, the internet is exploding, all forms of social networks.
You think we're in a bubble?
We are. We are definitely in. Asset bubbles tend to be in certain industries. And clearly there's a, Warren Buffett calls the market bipolar, sometimes manically high, sometimes depressed. You have a small elite group of companies like a LinkedIn, a Facebook, a Pandora that are being used by millions and millions of people that are the talk of the town. Those companies are doing explosive IPOs, and retail investors are buying them up and then sometimes maybe disappointed. On the other hand, you have the rest of the world, and they're being neglected a little bit, and that's a lot of the small cap. They're frustrated that they're not getting the attention. But there's a tremendous number of great companies in that space. So we see companies doing great things in the internet. We see great things in biotechnology. Another company we're working with, they have a cancer treatment. They actually have a broad group of treatments. One of them they've just able to announce that of patients with only 3 months to live, they were able to put into complete remission 15 of 21 in their clinical trial, some living as long as 30 months. So we see some fantastic opportunities in technology, as well as internet and, as I said, broadly across all forms of new businesses.
And you mentioned some get neglected. A lot of our viewers are small cap companies, and they constantly feel like they're neglected.
Yes.
The Facebooks, the LinkedIns, all the startups, they're sexy.
Yep.
They get a lot of attention. They get media attention. They get invited to conference after conference. The large cap companies, the Steve Jobs, the Warren Buffett, as you mentioned, they get invited to TV shows and speeches every day. The small cap, micro cap, nano cap, they're left out in the cold. When you come across companies like that, how do you deal with them? How do you help them? How do you even process information about them? There's not a lot of analyst information or coverage on them.
I would just say this, it's not instant coffee. They have to be a little patient. They have to tell their story repeatedly. They have to get out there and work it. But it can happen. You see companies, I mean, take Starbucks, for example, as a company people didn't know years ago. Obviously now it's a household word.
And they think of it as, the last 5 years. Well, it started in the early 70s.
That's right. That's right. So it's Barnes & Noble started as one store that Lou Grigio bought here in Manhattan. Now it's a giant and has its Nook, and it's being bought out. So it does take time. It's not instant coffee. You do have to show quarter-over-quarter results or progress towards your goal. Have to be consistent and focused, but it happens. It definitely will happen. And sure, you read about the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Facebooks, and it's very exciting, and we all wish we could wake up and be billionaires. But the reality is that there are many, many great companies and many, many millionaires being created all the time here. So just have to work it a little bit.
And give a little more background about your firm. What do you specialize in? How do companies engage you? What's your niche? I mean, you are not starting yesterday, but you're not Goldman Sachs either. What is your unique niche?
Well, we work with technology and middle market companies, some M&A, a lot of growth financings, both private and public. We work, as I said, with middle market and technology companies. And our criteria, we basically look for two things. The first thing we look for is character. My first boss, I worked for a spin-off of Merrill Lynch, and I learned a lot there. And my first boss, I said to him, how do you pick deals? Is it the industry, the EBITDA, the valuation? The first thing he said to me is, when you lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. And I took that lesson to heart. So the first thing is you have to have someone of good character. And second, you have to have something extraordinary about the company, something that they're proving, they're showing. It could be a restaurant that has a line out the door. It could be a biotech company that's showing great results. It could be even a financial services company. So we work across the board. We don't limit ourselves in terms of industry. But we look for people of good character and people doing something extraordinary with their company.
All right, we're going to have a lot more